Today's episode is going to be much different than any episode you will ever see from me. No controversial takes, nothing that needs to be fought on, just raw emotion and paying tribute to someone who made such an impact on mine and many other lives. On October 14th, 1993, Charlie Kirk was born into this world. Little to be known at the time, the amount of impact that he would have on our society, and let's just say his impact was nothing short of resounding. Charlie was a husband, a son, a friend to many, a father to two beautiful children, and maybe even to many of us, he was kind of a political father and mentor. But most importantly, Charlie was a man of God. Charlie, through his words, challenged me to be a better man of God to my friends, my girlfriend, my family, but most importantly, to strangers. Without Charlie, I wouldn't be half the man I am today. And it's still, a month and a few days later, one of the most devastating things that has ever happened in my life. The truth is, we all lost him. No matter where you find yourself on the political line, whether you are an extreme right, an extreme left, or somewhere in the middle, we all lost him. You might be wondering why, and I tell you, because nobody was like Charlie. Charlie would always come and talk to anybody who wished to challenge him or agree with him. He made us little people feel important. On that topic, today is what should have been Charlie's 32nd birthday. And I want to spend today honoring who Charlie was, not only to me, but the many little people of this world. This is The Conservative Cut. Let's dive in. 13 years ago, Charlie was just a man with a dream to shape the future of America. His fight was never about power or status, it was about the people. It was about me and you. I remember getting a call from a Turning Point USA field representative asking if I wanted to re-charter the Turning Point USA chapter at Pittsburgh State University, and I jumped on this opportunity. Some might ask me why, and I always return the question with, well, why not? Charlie's whole position was standing for constitutional values and talking to those that you actually disagree with. Because as Charlie would say in the famous quote that got me hooked on Turning Point was, when people stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriage stops talking, divorce happens. When civilization stops talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of an organization that stands for connection over division? And again, that's why I said yes when I got that call. To me, my why is to connect with others. That is why I wanted to join Turning Point USA, to connect with those I disagree with. The craziest part to me is that in just 2 years of my involvement with Turning Point USA, I've lost so many friends. The other question I get more often than not is someone asking me, Gavin, is it worth it? And I've thought a lot about this one, especially since we lost Charlie Kirk, because I worry about the safety for those closest to me. But it's actually those that are closest to me that are telling me that I need to keep pushing forward. And they're also telling me to try to even be a fraction of what Charlie Kirk was. So in short, yes, it is worth it to me. I'm going to keep pushing forward and never look back. Over the last 2 years, I would make the decisions that I've made 1,000 times over. And I'd love to tell you why, but this is about Charlie Kirk and the little people he impacted like me. This is Ryan Whalen. He is the president of Turning Point USA at Wichita State University. We met as mutual acquaintances at last year's America Fest and have only spoken to each other online. But our connection as leaders run deeper than the few times we've ever spoken. When asking Ryan of Charlie's impact on his life, this is what he had to tell me. Charlie undoubtedly changed the course of American history. He opened countless young people's minds to conservative ideas. He gave me countless opportunities to fight for America and the freedom of speech on our campus. I wouldn't not be in the place I am today without Charlie. I know we're all a little lost without him, but this fight is far from over. I then spoke with Josiah Young. He is the president of Turning Point USA at Johnson County Community College. When asking him about Charlie, he said, God's will is rarely easy, but it's always good, which is why we argue with it. Heaven writes in lines we can't always read, but faith means saluting the flag even when the wind blows against it. Maybe Charlie's work was never meant to end and just be handed off. He showed us that loving God and loving America were never separate duties, but two halves of the same calling. So even when God's plan feels like loss, we stand our ground because the same God who gives us the fight also gives us the victory. And I think Charlie knew that better than anyone else. Tanner Lee Shipman, a member of Turning Point USA here at Kansas State University, wanted me to share this clip of Charlie speaking to a young married man.
My name's Luke. I am a 23-year-old Christian conservative man. Thank you. And I'm not here to debate you, but just to ask you for some advice. I married my beautiful wife last year at the age of 22. Thank you. And I just want to say I respect and admire, I've been watching from a distance, how your ability to lead your family, your beautiful wife, your beautiful children. And as a young man pursuing a marriage, I just want to ask if you had any advice on how I can pursue and maintain a God-centered marriage for the rest of my life.
And thank you for that. Number one, God must always come first from your spiritual disciplines. Honor the Sabbaths and turn off your phone for 1 day a week. Go to a church, a good Bible-based church. We have many of the pastors here that teach the Word of God verse by verse. And also understand that it's external things of the flesh like alcohol or drugs or other temptations that will take down your marriage. You as the husband must constantly be at guard of things, and also over shopping, over indulgence, too much credit cards, idolatry of vacations. You must guard the family from those things seeping in. So understand the order. It's God and then the marriage, and those things will bless your marriage from the devil who tries to undermine it and usurp your holy union.
I love it. Thank you, Charlie.
God bless you, man. Thank you.
I'll bring that video that we just watched into my conversation with Chandler Standiford. She is currently the president of Turning Point USA at Bryan College of Health. Yes, we are all students, employees, and many other things of this world. But life is so much more than your 4 years at the university, or the title of your job, or the home you own. The important things in life are gifts from God, like marriage, like kids. Chandler went into depth on how Charlie had helped her and her husband in their marriage. Charlie is someone my husband and I will always remember and look up to. Before Charlie's assassination, my morning looked like this. I would be running around cleaning while my husband sat on the couch with his coffee, listening to Charlie's debates and speeches. Of course, my husband always shared with me Charlie's words and how he was truly making a difference in young people's lives, like myself and my husband's. Charlie has influenced us to be more on fire for conservative values and helped us have the hard conversations about what parenting was going to look like for us and how we are going to raise our future children in a world that is so full of corruption. After Charlie's assassination, the answer to our how was clear. After 3 years of straying away from God and Christian values, Charlie's death was a wake-up call to us that the only way we are going to be able to make it in this world, have a successful marriage, raise our kids grounded in love, make hard life-altering decisions, we needed to put God first in our lives once again. Charlie was the biggest help in rekindling our relationship with God, and I could not be more thankful for that. Each day as I continue to pray for his beautiful family, I realized that the most important aspect of my life, being a Christian, was also the most important aspect of Charlie's and how he was able to have such a loving and successful family in life. So today, as my husband and I sit down and eats pancakes together in remembrance of Charlie, we could not be more thankful for the huge impact he has made and will continue to make in our lives. I then got to speak with Hayden Naparella. She is the president of Turning Point USA at Emporia State University. When asking her how Charlie had impacted her life, she said, I first discovered Charlie Kirk on TikTok, where his sharp comebacks and confident presence in debates immediately caught my attention. At the time, I didn't fully understand his views, but I was drawn to how he communicated, intelligently, fiercely, and always with a thought-provoking question or response that challenged people to think beyond their assumptions. As I began to reconnect with my faith and dive deeper into the Bible, I started researching Turning Point USA and made Charlie's podcast part of my daily routine. The more I listened, the more I realized how much his message aligned with the values I was rediscovering: faith, freedom, and personal responsibility. One of the quotes he shared, "This too shall pass," became a grounding truth for me. It reminded me that no matter how overwhelming life may feel, the struggle is temporary. But beyond personal growth, Charlie gave me something even more powerful: hope. Hope that there are still voices fighting for truth, for morality, and for the future of this country. His example showed me that it's possible to stand firm in your beliefs while engaging respectfully and intelligently with others. That inspiration led me to start a Turning Point USA chapter at Emporia State University, with the goal of creating a space where students can come together to discuss big ideas, challenge one another, and pursue the truth with courage and conviction. But there are more people that Charlie had impacted in this world than just Turning Point USA presidents like myself. I had the opportunity to speak with Noah Yakey, a student at Pittsburgh State University. He said, before Charlie's death, I lived with a sense of hope and direction that came from my faith, but also from examples of men like Charlie. It's hard to get your beliefs out in the big world we live in today, but it felt like Charlie was speaking for me. I didn't believe in everything he stood for, but as a young Christian father and a fiance, I looked up to Charlie as someone who lived boldly by his values that I shared with him. When I heard he'd been killed for standing in that truth, it shook me to my core. It made me question the world I was raising my child in and whether my faith would one day make me a target too. For a while, I carried fear and anger. I couldn't understand how something so cruel could happen to someone driven by so much good. But through prayer and through the support from my fiance, I began to realize that living in fear would dishonor everything Charlie stood for. His death reminded me that faith isn't about being comfortable, it's about strength. Since then, I have opened my Bible more, prayed more, and tried to live each day with a deeper sense of purpose, loving my family furiously, holding tight to the belief that truth and faith will always outshine hate. I live this way because of what Charlie Kirk has done for me. All of these quotes and stories are from the little people like you and me. And what I mean by this is, sure, we have the potential to be true culture changers in life, but we aren't of the same influence that Charlie had, at least not yet. Why is this important though? To me, it's important because someone of the same social status as Charlie made zero time for us ever. And Charlie was the exact opposite. Instead, he encouraged conversation with those who hated him. We all mattered to him. And that's why everyone felt the true devastating gut punch it was when Charlie Kirk was assassinated on September 10th. As a current chapter president of a Turning Point USA chapter, I can't lie to you, my life has been pretty gut-wrenching recently. People like me get threats and are often told that our world would be a better place if people like me were not in it. And I find it really hard at times to stay grounded in my beliefs and also stay humble while trying to make a difference. But then all I have to do is remind myself, Charlie Kirk was hated by millions. He was even assassinated by someone for just simply standing for what he believed in. But Charlie was perfect at staying grounded. He was perfect at staying humble, and he was perfect at choosing peace, no matter what. I firmly believe that Charlie Kirk is living in me more now than he was before his assassination on September 10th. Charlie was my role model. He was my mentor. He made such a difference in my life. So all I ever have to ask myself is, what would Charlie do? Which leads me into my final point to the night. What would Charlie want you to do? To me, and to probably many of you watching, Charlie was a major inspiration to your life. And while I could go on and on about all the amazing things I could say about him, I put it into 2 words. His message would simply be, don't stop. We don't honor Charlie Kirk by talking about his impact. We honor Charlie Kirk by living out his example. Speak out at school board meetings. Make a poster and go on campus and talk to people that disagree with you. Befriend those that the media tells you to hate. But most importantly, Charlie would want you to live a godly life by staying rooted to Scripture, by finding courage to speak the truth, even when it's hard, and by carrying forward the mission that Charlie Kirk poured so much of his life into. To put what I believe Charlie Kirk would want from me and you into one sentence, I've started calling it the Charlie Kirk special. I've seen many people say that because of Charlie Kirk's assassination that his movement is over. But I think just like me, you've seen how wrong that statement truly is. His fire didn't go out. It spread, and it spread much faster than anybody could have anticipated. And each of you listening have the power to continue his work. So I ask, why not you? The truth is, you normally know the right step to take. The hardest step is just taking that next step forward. Let's prove the world wrong. Let's honor Charlie, not with silence, but with faith, with courage, and with action. His legacy lives in us, and it's our job to carry that legacy forward. Continue to let his assassination be your turning point. Happy birthday, Charlie. We love you. We miss you. And I personally hope that I am carrying forward your message and legacy to the best of my ability. I hope we are all making you proud. This is The Conservative Cut. We'll see you next time.